10 real fat loss habits that work after 40. No gimmicks, no diets. Hey, lovely people, if you are over 40 and you feel like you've tried every diet under the sun, that's the keto, the calorie counting, the fasting till you can barely see straight, this one's for you. Because the truth is, what worked for you in your 20s, your 30s, probably isn't going to cut it anymore. And it's not your fault. Our hormones change, sleep changes, metabolism gets stubborn, funguses and bacteria that should be staying down in your large intestine, the last 5 feet of your digestive tract, have maybe migrated up into the wrong places. And now they're having a rave in entirely the wrong parts of your body that they were never meant to be in. Sleep changes. The years have taken their toll. And decades of your body dealing with modern life and the chemical soup that we live in, it can cope up to a point and then things start to struggle or fail. Body systems have become exhausted, and meanwhile, the advice out there is an absolute circus of contradictions. So today I'm sharing 10 real fat loss habits that actually work, especially for us midlifers. This is no endless tracking, no starving, no guilt, just smart, doable strategies. And I love a treat now and again too, just as much as the next ex-carb addict. So I've given you a recipe at the end, which is absolutely delicious for my keto chocolate and macadamia coconut fat bombs, which you are going to love. If you're ready, let's get going straight away into it. I'm Emma Voysey. I'm a health coach. I'm a recovered lifelong sugar addict, professional myth buster, and your friendly guide to losing fat without losing your mind. I help my clients all over the world not only to shed stubborn weight, but to reclaim their health in the process, because let's be honest, sustainable fat loss is really just a delightful side effect of reclaiming our health, of just being healthy and feeling amazing. So number one has to be ditch the grazing. Just eat real meals. If you've picked all day, or if you're picking all day, little handfuls of nuts here, a nibble of cheese, a rice cake there, it's just time to stop. This is a biggie, and it's why I've put it first. Old me used to graze all the time. I was never truly hungry. I was actually quite stressed, looking back, simply by the idea that I might run out of food. Not that I ever did. I don't know what that was all about. Must have been starving in a former life. Grazing keeps insulin dripping all day long, which means your fat cells never get the menu to let go, and consequently, constantly topping up your sugar stores. And by sugar, I'm talking about all the starches, all the starchy foods which are digested and then stored, ready for instant use, ready to run away from a saber-toothed tiger in the olden days. If they're not used up that day, if those stored sugars aren't needed immediately, guess what? They're just stored as fat. Instead, they're put away into our fat stores, and then we know how hard it is to get them back out again. And this is generally because we just eat more than we need for repair and energy every day, every week, every month, for our whole lives. So the glycogen gets neatly stored away, neatly packed away for a later use. Do this on a daily, weekly, monthly basis for years, and you've bought yourself a one-way ticket to obesity and disease. Instead, eat 2 proper meals built around at least 40 to 50 grams of protein each, or 30 to 40 grams of protein if you're going to go for 3 meals a day. You can eat more protein than that. Protein isn't generally going to make you fat. It's going to make you feel full up, it's going to sustain you, and it's going to give you the energy you need to carry out all your daily activities and for growth and repair. So Dr. Annette Bosworth, aka Dr. Bos, she suggests adults don't need to eat more than 2 occasions a day, which if you've gone from, like I did, from eating 3 meals a day and snacking the whole time otherwise, that can be quite a big switch, and it requires quite a lot of habit changing to get to that point, but we're going to do it gradually. The old adage that excess protein above 30 grams is excreted as waste has now been disproven by many scientists, although ongoing research by Dr. Valter Longo may yet throw up a different take on this. We have to be open-minded and keep up with the research and be prepared to embrace new findings as they arise, because things do change and they change all the time. The knowledge expands and expands. I've quoted Dr. Donald Layman before, and his take on protein and the RDA, which is sometimes referred to not as the recommended daily amount, but as the ridiculously depleted amount of protein for adults, is basically enough to keep a mouse alive, but not a thriving midlifer. So the RDA for protein is 0.8 grams per kilo of body weight. But that was tested on young, healthy men who were eating dairy. And it seems that these numbers are now years out of date. I mean, this dates back to the 40s, 50s, 1940s, 1950s. More recent scientific findings have changed those numbers. So Dr. Layman and most of the serious researchers now recommend 1.2 to 1.8 grams of protein per kilo of body weight. That's around 100 to 120 for most women and 140 to 180 for men. And if you're trying to lose fat, prevent muscle loss and age gracefully, you need to be on the upper end of that scale. Dr. Layman says that women in weight loss studies lose all benefits of protein if they go under 90 to 100 grams a day. There's a threshold. Drop below the threshold and things start to fall apart. So think of protein as your body's repair kit. It keeps you full, it helps you build muscle, it balances your hormones, and it burns calories, just more calories, just in digesting it. And please don't rely on protein bars and diet shakes, because real food is going to win every time. If you're only eating twice a day, apart from the satiety and the enjoyment factor, which I make sure is really high in every one of my meals, do you really want to be living a life made up of ultra-processed shakes and meal replacement bars? Made in factories? I know I don't. Stick with the real ingredients, the whole foods, things that you recognise, things that you can prepare in your own kitchen, stuff that your nan would have known what to do with, not chemicals with 25 letters in each of their words that you've never even heard of. And yes, you have to build up to it, because if you're not used to eating this much protein, it's going to seem almost insurmountable. You may need to address other issues first, such as whether you might have SIBO or SIFO, an upper fermenting gut. I talked all about this recently in my vitamin C video. These are all issues. Or if you have low stomach acid or a leaky gut, where the junctions in the gut have become loose and now particles are passing through that one cell wall thick gut wall and escaping into your bloodstream, from where they can just go anywhere they want to in the body, colonizing in joints, in the brain. They found in brain tissue of post-mortems carried out on people that died of dementia or Alzheimer's disease, they found Candida thriving. You know, it does really well in all sorts of places that we don't expect it, and it should never have been. It should never have come out of your large intestine in the first place. So these are all issues which are going to make it harder for you to eat a proper amount of protein, sufficient protein to nourish you, rebuild, give you your energy, you know, go into old age without becoming tiny and wizened. And you see that a lot as well, but it's called sarcopenia, when old people just literally just wither away, because the body will draw minerals and proteins from places where they're needed for growth. It will take them out just for your existence if you constantly undereat. And these are all topics that I cover in my courses. Number 2, rethink the booze. I know, don't shoot the messenger. I love a drink just as much as the next person, but alcohol is one of the sneakiest reasons that our fat loss will stall. It's not just the empty calories, although a couple of large glasses of wine can easily add 400 empty calories you didn't need. It's that your body has to prioritize getting rid of that alcohol before it can start burning fat again. If you drink alcohol, fat burning is generally off the table. I've said it before, your liver has 500 daily jobs to do. 500. That's quite a lot. Drink alcohol and every one of those jobs is parked in order to stop us from dying, which is pretty important, isn't it, if you think about it, and then in the grand scheme of things. So alcohol will also disrupt your sleep, and a lack of sleep is going to lead to potentially bad food choices the next day, and even can lead to type 2 diabetes over a longer period, just from lack of sleep. So translation, fat burning gets shoved to the back of the queue. You don't have to be teetotal forever, but cutting back most days makes a huge difference. Make it an occasional tipple rather than your daily staple. It's not one of your 5 a day. In spite of the grapes. I've lost my dog. Number 3, stay hydrated. Really boring, but really crucial. And use electrolytes. You can't burn fat efficiently if you're dehydrated. You just can't. Water is literally needed to break down those fat cells, and it's a process that's called lipolysis. And when you don't have enough, everything slows down. You can't flush fat out of your system if you're drier than last week's sourdough. Why do that to yourself? Such an easy hack and a really big win. So aim for at least 2 litres per day. I go closer to 3. A cup of tea or coffee is going to dehydrate you. So for every cup of tea or coffee, you need to have an extra cup of water, because these drinks are diuretic, meaning they make you pee more. You just pee out liquid after you've drunk tea and coffee. If you find plain water as dull as dishwater, and lots of people do, try making a jug of herbal tea. Cold hibiscus with lemon is a favourite of mine, or a cold fruit tea, or any of the herbal teas. They're really nice cold with a bit of ice in them, or without the ice, both works. Or pop in some fresh mint or some cucumber, and do yourself a favour and filter your water. This is a real biggie. Tap water contains traces of the purification chemicals that were used to purify it, and microplastics, that old chestnut, and antibiotic residues. Now, I don't know about you, but and residues from things like the contraceptive pill, which has been in our systems for so long now, so many decades. I don't know about you, but I don't want those things in my drinking water. I don't feel that they're benefiting my body in any shape or form. So, and that's just some of them. That's just some of the nasties. I'm not even going to go into the heavy metals and stuff like that today, but just think about filtering your water if you aren't doing so already. Bottled water is often worse. It's often got more crap in it than the tap water, because of the plastic that it's stored in. You don't know if that plastic bottle that you've just bought has been sitting out in the sun, on the tarmac, on some airstrip waiting to be loaded for 20 hours before it was reached, you in the shop when you buy it and drink it. So think about that. Think about how long it's been in that plastic bottle, what it was exposed to whilst in the plastic bottle, because sunlight on plastic will cause chemicals to leach out of the plastic, and guess where they're going? Straight into your body. We are made of 60%. We're 60% made of water. It's worth the effort to make it purer. Why we're all more dehydrated than we realise. So most people assume dehydration just means I didn't drink enough water today, but it's much more complex. Even if you're sipping all day long, you can still be dehydrated at cellular level. And that is if you are low in electrolytes, particularly in sodium, which we know more commonly as salt. We're made of around 60% water, although babies start out closer to 75%. As we get older, that percentage drops a little bit because we lose muscle and because we don't drink enough water. So most of this water isn't just sloshing around in our blood. About 2/3 is tucked away inside your cells, keeping them nicely plump and functioning properly. The rest helps move nutrients, clear waste, lubricate our joints, regulate blood pressure, and keep your temperature steady, and burn fat, as I've already said. So even mild dehydration, just losing 1 to 2% of your body water can sap your energy, slow your metabolism, and make you feel foggy or cranky. No wonder people get that mid-afternoon slump. It's often nothing to do with what you've eaten, it's just to do with what you haven't drunk. When you want to fall asleep, when you're falling asleep at your desk, or you want to crawl underneath the desk and actually have a proper kip, or you're just on the sofa and you can't help but close your eyes for an hour or two. Dr. James Di Nicolantonio explains that when you drink plain water without enough salt or minerals in it, you actually dilute your blood sodium. This in turn can trigger a process called hyponatremia, where your cells start pulling in too much water, and then swelling up, which is really dangerous. It ends in hospitalisation. Quite rare, we're not seeing this happening to people every single day of the week, but it's a possibility, and it is really dodgy. You can easily end up in hospital with this condition, but more commonly your kidneys will just flush out the excess, along with any minerals that you did have. So sometimes lots of peeing doesn't necessarily mean you're losing fat, which is the commonly held belief, but it can mean you're losing a lot of minerals and sodium. So ironically, the more plain water you drink without electrolytes, the more dehydrated you will become over time. And Dr. Di Nicolantonio also shares that thirst isn't always a reliable indicator. By the time you feel really thirsty, you're already way behind. Mild dehydration, that's just 1 to 2% loss of body water, which is tiny, impairs your energy, cognitive function, brain function, and crucially, fat burning. And a lot of afternoon fatigue, sugar cravings, headaches are actually related to low-grade dehydration, plus electrolyte loss. I've shared Sally Norton's salty sports drink recipe in my free PDFs, which should be available now. I know there's been some glitches. You can make them up in bulk. Just 4 ingredients. You've got salt, mineral salt, potassium citrate, potassium bicarbonate, and magnesium citrate. And there's no added sugars or pretend sugars or any other of the rubbishy ingredients that you get in the commercial electrolytes, which are really expensive as well. So you can buy those ingredients on Amazon, much better for your pocket and actually for your health as well. Hello, Mikes. Number 4, stop drinking your calories. Frappuccinos, smoothies the size of your head, even healthy juices, and spoiler, most of them aren't healthy. No chewing required. Digestion begins in the mouth. These are going to spike your blood sugar and crash your energy and leave you hungry an hour later. Swap them instead for water, herbal teas, sparkling water on occasion, not too much of it, with a squeeze of lime. All those electrolytes again, nice with lime juice added. Takes away the salty flavour. If you must have something milky, have it alongside a meal, not as a snack on its own, because milk is a food. Remember that. Number 5, eat enough to feel safe. No starvation diets. When you undereat, your brain thinks you're in a famine. The result, your metabolism slows to conserve your energy. Your thyroid takes a holiday and your body holds on to fat like it's prepping for the apocalypse. Focus on protein, healthy fats, and plenty of micronutrients, because eating enough tells your body that it's safe to let go of that stored fat, and that's what we want it to do. Number 6, read your labels. Seriously, if you haven't already started, flipping packages over, reading those tiny writings, or you haven't made the time, then now is the time to start this. Remember to take your specs shopping if you're like me and you won't be able to read those tiny words otherwise. And what you don't know can't hurt you doesn't really cut the mustard here. This is time to become a detective, to investigate this and find out for yourself. Look out for seed oils, aka poisons. You've got your soybean, your corn, your canola, sunflower. There's just a few of them. Olive oil and avocado oil, those are fruit oils. They are completely different, by the way, and they are not highly processed, and they are not industrial seed oils, so you can eat those safely. Completely different kettle of fish. High fructose corn syrup. Awful stuff, even worse than sugar. I know, I didn't think that was possible. Anything ending in O's, OSE, code for sugar. If you can't pronounce it, consider whether you actually want it to be in your bloodstream. Number 7, plan your meals, but keep it simple. Think of the old adage, fail to plan, plan to fail. You don't have to be some meal prep king or queen with a colour-coded fridge, but you do need to have a plan. Pick the meal that's your downfall, maybe the meal in the daytime that's your downfall, maybe it's dinner, and ensure you've got a default option ready. Roast a tray of chicken thighs, or chop up some veggies earlier on, or boil some eggs. Have it ready. Doing things in advance, it's going to be your friend here. Really simple, but surprising how many people skip this step or just forget about it. If your meals are easy and tasty, then you're just going to be less likely to grab a takeaway when life gets a bit messy. You're tired and the kids are squabbling and you have a work deadline to meet and you've got to finish it before bedtime. Fail to plan, plan to fail. Remember that one. And number 8, before I move on up the hill, because I found a good spot to park the camera, find satisfying swaps. Craving chocolate? Try a couple of 90% dark chocolate squares. They're very hard to overeat and a little goes a long way. Or make some fat bombs with coconut oil and cocoa and a little monk fruit sweetener or some stevia. I'm going to give you a recipe at the end, which you will love. If you need something crunchy, grab some pork crackling or roasted salted macadamias, a few macadamias. I'm not talking a great big bucket full. I'm just talking a few macadamias can sometimes hit the spot and satisfy. And they're a good choice if you do want to eat a nut because they are the highest in fat, lowest in carbs. Craving something sweet? A few fresh raspberries or blueberries with whipped cream can do the trick. Again, don't make this a daily habit. This is a once in a while thing when you really need something and you're really craving. A small handful of organic berries in a cup of Greek yogurt if you can tolerate dairy, or coconut yogurt if you can't. There's always a swap that can hit the spot without spiking your blood sugar or completely derailing your goals. Number 9. Don't fear the carbs, but keep them low and smart. So carbs aren't inherently evil, but for most of us over 40, especially if we've struggled with stubborn weight or metabolic issues or carb addiction, which so many people struggle with carb addiction and they don't even realize it because it's just not a recognized condition. These are the fastest way to stall your fat loss and keep those cravings alive. It's not about banning them forever, but it is about understanding how they affect your body, how they affect your body now. When you're insulin resistant, which millions of us are, without even realizing again, after a lifetime of just overeating sugars. We're fed sugar from when we're weaned, from when we're babies. We start with baby rice, spikes blood sugar higher than bread. Your cells cannot any longer, they cannot process glucose efficiently. They may not have been efficiently processing glucose for decades, but you just didn't realize. That means every time you eat carbs, your body produces more insulin to try and push that sugar into your cells, and high insulin is going to make fat loss nigh on impossible. Instead of fearing carbs, you need to respect them. So keep them minimal and strategic. Focus on nutrient-dense options that aren't going to hijack your blood sugar. So think about a small handful of berries here and there, or the occasional portion of root vegetable, if you tolerate them well. If you're using carbs at all, timing does matter. So some people find that a small amount after exercise can help replenish those glycogen stores without derailing your fat loss. But here's the truth. Your body is perfectly capable of thriving on protein and healthy fats as primary fuel, as its primary fuel. And when you give it time to adapt, you're going to likely discover, as I did, that you don't need nearly as many carbs as you once thought you did. Staying low carb most of the time in that ketogenic state keeps your energy steady, keeps your cravings quiet. It means that your metabolism is going to be focused on burning the stored fat rather than chasing that next glucose hit. And if you're ever in doubt, remember that the more stable your insulin, the easier your fat loss is going to become. It's not about demonizing carbs or cutting them out forever. It's about reclaiming that metabolic flexibility on your terms and quietening down the food noise, which is such a relief if you've struggled, like I did, for my whole life up until the last few years, with being completely addicted to the wrong kinds of foods, because we don't get addicted to steak and eggs and broccoli on the side. We get addicted to the sugary foods, which cause the dopamine centers in our brain to light up. So, as I said, such a relief, quietens down the food noise and enables you to become eventually more metabolically flexible. And number 10, strength train like your life depends on it, because it kind of does. Muscle is your metabolic engine and your superpower. It's what helps you burn more calories at rest. and it is going to keep your blood sugar stable, and it's going to keep you resilient as you age. And the more muscle you have, the easier everything becomes, the easier everything gets. That's the fat loss, the hormone balance, even mood regulation, even feeling good. This is where I'm going to walk up now. Muscle is your metabolic engine, and it's your superpower. It's what helps you to burn more calories as just resting, and it keeps your blood sugar stable, and it helps you stay resilient as you get older. As we age, the more muscle we have, the easier everything else becomes. Fat loss, hormonal balance, and even your mood. And here's the really good news. You don't need to spend hours in the gym, and you don't need fancy equipment to achieve this, or to build muscle. 2 or 3 20 to 30 minute sessions a week is enough to start with, and this will help you transform your body composition. You can keep it simple with body weight exercises that you can do in your living room or in your garden. You can do your squats. This will build your glutes and your leg muscles. They're the biggest muscles in your body. You can do lunges, great for balance and for strength. You can do press-ups, push-ups. This will increase your upper body power, and you can start on your knees if you need to do a box press up because you can't do a full press up to begin with. That's absolutely fine. No one's judging you. No one cares what you're doing. Just do it. Pull-ups, if you're feeling really ambitious, even a resistant band assisted version, you can get yourself a pull-up bar for just a few quid. They are not expensive, and just put one up in a doorway like I've done. Make sure it's secure, and don't do it up too tightly if you've got those kind of walls that crack when there's any pressure put onto them. Planks, they're going to fire up your core, and walking with weights, whether that's a rucksack or whether it's a weighted vest, which is something obviously you've got to buy, but you can just do it with a rucksack with some water bottles in it filled with water. Even though I said don't drink bottled water. Focus on the compound movements. That's the ones that work multiple muscle groups at once. Not only are they efficient, but they train your body to move as one unit, which they're functional. And that's going to help you prevent injuries, and it builds real life strength, or strength for real life. So strong legs in particular are linked to better longevity and independence as you get older. They're the reason that you can stand up from the loo without assistance. And your leg muscles, as I said, biggest in the body, they're your engines for walking and climbing stairs and staying active into your 70s and 80s and beyond, because that's what we want. It's no good living to a ripe old age if you can't move as well. You want to be able to move and go out and hunt for your food, even if that's just going down to the local shop. You need to be able to do that for yourself and remain fully independent. Remember, consistency always, always beats perfection. It's one of my favourite phrases. Start where you are, keep adding a little more weight, a little more time, or a few more reps as you get stronger, as you build that strength, because this isn't about becoming a bodybuilder, although you can obviously do that if you choose to. This is about protecting the muscle that is going to protect you, or that protects you. So which of these habits can you start this week? Let me know in the comments. I read every one of them, and I will repeat, consistency beats perfection every time. You don't need to do everything at once. Just pick one, start there, layer in positive new habits one by one. Gradually, your future self is going to thank you. That's one meal, one workout, one sensible swap at a time. It's not sustainable otherwise. It has to be gradual in order to really infuse those habits into you and make them a habit, make them happen every day. If you want more help, check out my free resources. I've got some free PDFs that I share, and also my maximum fat loss program, which isn't just about fat loss, it's about health in general. It's about reclaiming your health. It's all linked below. And before I go, because I promised you, my recipe for easy keto chocolate coconut fat bombs. Keto macadamia fat bombs. I haven't quite decided on the title yet, but I'm going to link it below for you. So the ingredients are 1 cup of macadamia nut butter, and I'm going to tell you how to make that, 1/2 cup of coconut oil, 2 to 3 tablespoons of unsweetened cocoa powder. That's optional, but that's for the chocolatey flavour. 1 to 2 teaspoons of powdered stevia or monk fruit sweetener, and you can adjust that to taste. Or you can use honey if you don't mind eating a little bit of honey, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, half a teaspoon of salt, and that's it. And all you do is you gently warm that macadamia nut butter and coconut oil in a saucepan over a low heat. And while I tell you about this, I'm just going to show you this beautiful view. Put it over a low heat in a saucepan until it's melted and it's smooth, and remove it from the heat. Whisk in the coconut powder, the sweetener, the vanilla and the salt. Pour it into silicone molds or mini cupcake cases. Freeze for 1 to 2 hours until solid. Pop out and store in a container in the freezer and enjoy straight from frozen, because there's so much fat there, they don't actually freeze. They're just chewy and delicious. And as a little tip, you can sprinkle unsweetened, shredded, toasted coconut or toasted, chipped up macadamia nuts on the top for a little extra if you fancy it. If you enjoyed that video, you might like to watch one of these two next. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate you. Bye for now.